All right, we are recording. What's going on, Nikita? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Just hanging out. You're calling in from New York, right? I'm from New Jersey. We
New
just
Jersey, yep, yep.
All right, cool. So for everybody tuning on to this video right here, Nikita is or was an attendee of our e-commerce workshop over in New York City. I think is actually in the middle of May, if I'm not
It
mistaken.
was like end of April, like almost May.
Got it, got it. Because I think we've had like one or two in New York now. Well, we've had them all over the country, really. We had them in LA, San Diego, San Francisco, Miami, Boston, and New York. So it's kind of hard to keep track of all of them.
Yeah.
But honestly, man, it was an honor having you at the New York one. I think it was really packed up. But I noticed right away that you were, I believe you were one of the first couple of rows there, right?
Yeah, the first one, literally the first one, front row.
Yeah, I could tell that you were real attentive. You were paying close attention to what was going on. But before we dive into what that e-commerce workshop, how it really helped you out, like what one or two things you implemented to get the significant results that you have now. If you don't mind, just taking a second, just kind of describing, what you were doing like before e-commerce, and then how your e-commerce journey was before the e-commerce workshop.
Gotcha. Basically, I worked full time as an accountant right after college, and then I think the end of 2017, I started watching like random videos on YouTube about e-commerce and like dropshipping in general.
Got it.
And it just hit me all of a sudden. I'm like, yo, this is the future, like selling stuff online that doesn't require that much time. I mean, it requires time initially to build a system, but then once the system is working, you're just working on the system, not in the system.
Yeah.
So I started getting in more and more into e-commerce and drop shipping. Then I found you and Juan on YouTube, watched literally every single video and stuff. Then 2018, that's when I launched my first store. Had no success with it. Then launched my second store and no success. My third store was barely breaking even, some results, but not even close to where I am right now. And again, where I am right now, I don't even consider it success either.
Yeah.
Because I know I can implement all the knowledge that I have and basically 10x the results that I have right now. Because I've seen people doing results that are,
Yeah.
way higher than what I'm doing right now. So, and I feel like the major piece in my success journey was going to that workshop in New York, actually. And I remember I told it to my mom about the workshop, and she's like, "What are you gonna learn in 2 days? Like, people spend years studying this stuff. Like, what is it they're gonna teach you in 2 days?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And then that workshop actually taught me the basics, not just e-commerce, but commerce in general. Commerce, business, buyers, psychology, marketing, copywriting. These are all the skills that are crucial if you want to succeed in this business.
Mm-hmm.
What I see other, gurus on YouTube that sell like courses and teach all this stuff. Basically what they teach is create a store, launch a bunch of ads, and then like fulfill the orders, and that's how you get to like 100K, 200K, whatever. That's not how it works.
Got it.
And that's exactly what we discussed at the workshop, the basics of commerce and business. And I feel like that was the turning point for me.
Got it.
At least.
Perfect. So if we could just take a step back real quick. Thank you for the now to take a step back, you said you were working as an accountant. So did you graduate college like with an accounting degree?
Yeah, with finance degree, and then right after college, been working for 2 years in finance accounting.
Got it. And so what was that kind of what was that moment? Because I'm sure if you went to 4 years of college to get that degree, and then you started working in that field for 2 years, was there some specific things that you didn't like about your job, or you just didn't like about maybe being on a salary, or did you always have that entrepreneur kind of mindset or that eye to start a business for yourself? or was it just kind of like a moment in time where you're like, okay, you know what, like enough of this, I want to start my own business, and then you started researching, you know, different kind of opportunities, and then you found e-commerce and drop shipping?
It was kind of like all the pieces came together over time. Like right after I graduated, I worked in the field, in the finance accounting field for like a month or two.
Mhm.
And then it just hit me. I'm like, that's not what I want to do. You know,
Yeah.
that's not the path that I want to take. And my entire family was just like pushing me, like, yeah, get a job, you know, you need to like get a promotion, like work really hard, and you know. But the whole time in my mind, I was like, that's not the life I want to live. You know, I know I can achieve better. I know I can have legacy, because, you know, we only live for a certain amount of time. So you got to make sure you have some legacy behind you, not just like work for 65 or whatever, 50 years. And then, you know, you have
Yeah.
nothing. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the point that it hit me. And then I tried another business. It was like an IT outsourcing business. It didn't really work out. At the foundational level, it didn't really work. So like I was constantly like searching for new ideas and how I can implement the ideas. And then I got into e-commerce and drop shipping. And I realized that's the industry I want to be, and that's literally the future of the commerce and business in general.
Got it. And to touch on that point real quick about, you know, just really, you know, family and them trying to kind of persuade you, or maybe sometimes it feels like push you towards a certain route.
Yeah.
When I was first started, like when I first started making these kind of videos on YouTube, I used to be, you know, ignorant to the fact that the real reason why our family does that is mainly because that's probably all they know, and because they really care for us, right? And so what happens when they're trying to push us or persuade us to go a specific way is because they're familiar with that route, and most
Yeah.
likely because they've been down that route and they're still alive. So it's like, hey, like, you know, if my son or my daughter goes down this route, they're gonna be okay, right? They're not really focused on you thriving as much as you just surviving, you know, and getting to that point, you know, where you can kind of
Yeah.
reproduce and keep the family line going, right? So
Exactly.
there's a lot of people that make these kind of videos, and I'm guilty of it too because I didn't really know any better. You know, it's like, you know, fuck your family, like, you know, screw them, like, get away from them, like, you don't need to listen to their negativity or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
I just kind of like reposition that in my mind as a way of them, like I just said, as a way of them just making sure that you can survive. It's like a familiar route with them. They're not really trying to get you to thrive. They're just trying to get you to make ends meet and, you know, keep going down that path of life until, you know, you don't really need their assistance anymore.
Yeah. And have the mediocre life, you know, that's like.
Exactly. Now the other side of it, Nikita, that you mentioned there is legacy, right? So legacy is really like a selfless type of mindset to have, because you're thinking about generations ahead. I was actually talking to my boy about this, like literally yesterday or 2 days ago, like when we were going to a barbecue on July 4th or July 3rd, I believe it was. And, you know, we were just talking about the difference between people who, you know, are real satisfied with the job that they have, like they're paying their bills, you know, they're making ends meet. And, you know, the difference between those people and the people that are focused on building a business and building a legacy for themselves is the first group of people are really selfish type of people. They're not focused on what about my kids? What about my parents? What about society? What about setting an example for my friends? And then you got the people like on, you know, on this side of the spectrum where, you know, the entrepreneurs, you know, kind of lie or lay, where the entrepreneurs are, is really focused on, okay, like I got to think of beyond myself, right? I got to think about, you know, of course, helping myself thrive so I can live my life to, you know, whatever it has to offer and experience everything it has to offer. But also, what about my kids? What about my wife? What about my parents? What about my brothers and sisters? What about my cousins? And so, you know, that's the type of mentality that really helps an entrepreneur kind of persevere through those hard times and through those troubled times. And so the way that I've kind of been able to um, really, and you might also think about it like this too, is when I'm doing my entrepreneurial kind of ventures and focusing and working on my business, even if my parents or my family doesn't understand what I'm doing, I don't really try to convince them of it. I just have in the back of my mind that, hey, like, I'm doing this for you without you even realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like you said, like your mom was like, what are they going to teach you at this event? You're in the back of your head, you're probably like, well, they're going to teach me how to help take care of you.
How to take care of you in a couple of years,
Exactly. So sometimes it's a lot better to just leave it unsaid, and just kind of focus on, doing it and setting that right example, and then just, taking care of them when they need to be taken care of.
That's
right?
true.
Perfect. So now that we got that first part kind of out of the way, like let's transition into the e-commerce aspect of it. So what were some, or you actually did mention it, like you said, when you were first watching all these other YouTube videos and all these other gurus and stuff like that, you realized that a lot of people were focused on the technical aspect of building an e-commerce business.
Exactly. Yep.
So can you take us through that first part? Like, obviously when you see other people getting results or creating success in that specific market or field, it inspires you, it gets you excited. But then once you start actually doing it, what did you realize? How did that go? I'll just kind of let you take over.
Well, like I said, I realized that just teaching the technical stuff in e-commerce is just simply not enough, especially in 2019.
Yeah.
And what I see a lot, what's going on in this industry right now, you have all these people that buy the same courses, right? They get the material from the same people. And then you have a bunch of drop shippers trying to sell the same exact product for the same exact price, using the same exact description and the same exact pictures from AliExpress.
Yeah.
So it's all a bunch of like different websites that sell the same exact thing and the product looks exactly identical.
Yeah.
So, and then what happens usually, and again, we discussed it at the workshop, they all start to like undercutting each other $1, like $5 to lower the price until they all just can't compete with each other. And then they just kill the niche and kill the market.
Yeah.
So what I realized that, it's just not enough to have the technical knowledge and just like throw a bunch of ads. You have to think like a consumer. Like why would someone buy from your website when they have 5 other options that sell exactly the same thing? Or worst case scenario, they can just go straight on Amazon and get the same product in 2 days.
Yeah.
This is where the concept of commerce in general comes in. How do you convince a customer to choose you over 5 other websites that look exactly the same?
Yep.
This is where the concept of value and irresistible offer comes in.
Yes.
And I feel like no one really talks about it. No one really explains it. And again, I would say that was a turning point in my e-commerce journey when I realized the concept of competing on value instead of competing on price.
Yeah.
Creating an offer that no one else can create besides me.
Yep.
That's when I feel like I started seeing success with my e-commerce.
Got it. So when you were first starting off there, Nikita, like, did you, I'm assuming that you started, kind of with what you just described, right? You started off by just getting the same products as everybody else, following those videos, right? Because you said that the first store was a failure and your second store was also a failure.
It was also a failure, yeah.
So literally same thing for us, right? Like it was for me and Juan. The first store was a failure. I believe the second one was too, until the third one we kind of, readjusted to what we're talking about here, like offers and competing on value or dominating with value instead of competing on price.
Right.
So, how frustrating was that first part? Like where you're literally following every single thing that these YouTube videos are telling you to do, but yet you're not getting any results. Like, how did that make you feel? Did it make you want to quit? Or what was the deal?
Yeah, I would always ask myself, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm literally just following the blueprint And at the same time, I see like 500 other people that are following the same exact blueprint. And then we're basically competing with each other on like the same, using the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, I need to like differentiate myself, especially in 2019 and going forward in 2020.
Yeah.
The market is aware of drop shipping. So again, drop shipping is not, it should not be the end goal in your e-commerce business. Like right now I'm researching how I can transition into like a full brand with a custom packaging, custom logo, all that. So drop shipping should not be the final destination.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, you have to know how to differentiate yourself from the crowd, how you can offer a better deal with a higher value to your customers so that they can choose you over 5 other dropshipping stores.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think it's one of those things that you don't really, because everything sounds like before you get into a business, right? The average YouTube video or free training or whatever, or blog post is going to make it seem, as sweet as possible.
Yeah.
Until you actually get in that ring, right? Until you actually get into the playing field, then you'll start to realize that there's some X factors that you didn't even consider before you went in. And
exactly.
So, like you described, one of those was, coming into it, you thought everything was, in order for you to succeed, you need to know all the technical aspects of e-commerce, which is like,
right.
What do I need to click on? What boxes do I need to check off? Like, what pictures do I need to have? Like, what do I click on my Facebook ad campaigns to make them convert better? But the reality is that you came to realize, like, maybe a little bit before the workshop or during the workshop, you started to realize that it's a lot more about, the fundamentals of commerce and understanding what really what makes people buy, like buyer psychology, and the truth that people aren't really just focused on the cheapest price, right? They're looking for the most value, the highest return on their investment, because ultimately when somebody's buying a product from your store, they are making an investment, right? Like if something costs $20 to buy from you, right? If you're selling a product that costs $20 and that person worked 2 hours of their life at $10 an hour to make that $20, they're trying to make sure that whatever they spend that $20 on is well worth the 2 hours that they had to work for it. And so you have to give them a higher return on their investment. And you could easily do that by creating some, some inimitable offers like we covered in the workshop.
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
I remember when you first came to the workshop, like you had, right? Like you were getting sales, right? I believe you said it was like one to two.
Slowly, yeah, it was like one to two sales a day, but I wasn't profitable.
Got it. 1 to 2 sales a day. And then after you started implementing everything, before we kind of, cover like what things you implemented, you sent me a screenshot of you doing 18.4 or 18.74K.
Something like that, yeah.
For the month. So congrats on that, man. I mean, you breezed past the 10K club, right? The 10K a month club. And quite honestly, man, I kind of knew that you were going to easily be able to implement some of that stuff and breeze past, the beginner stages.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because, again, I saw you like front and center. I saw you taking the notes. I saw you clicking around on your computer and asking all the right questions that you needed to. So I was not worried about you like walking out of there. I was worried about the people that, there's always going to be the people that come in and they're just really trying to get a better understanding and just kind of hanging around, right? But then there's the people like you that come in and they want to learn something and then they want to go ahead and implement it as soon as they get out of there without really doubting what we're sharing, right? It's like you just kind of got to believe in it and apply it, and you'll get the results. Because truth be told, like we did not create a lot of the things that we shared with you. As a matter of fact, like we'll say like, hey, we got this from this book, right? We got this concept from this other e-com marketer. We got this concept from this other entrepreneur. We got this concept from this investor. And so it's really just a matter of grabbing all the different pieces of the puzzle and putting them all together to be able to get the results that you're looking for. So, it's a 2-day workshop. It's like from 9 to 5 p.m. And obviously the way our brains work, like it's really hard to store all that information. So Nikita, what would you say was like the, one, two, or three things that you kind of left that workshop with and implemented right away that were able to give you those results or be a big part of those results?
Well, again, it would probably be the idea of creating an irresistible offer. Instead of just selling a random product, you should always create like a package so that in the buyer's perspective, they're getting, like you said, a good deal, a good return on their money, not just a random product from the internet, you know?
Yeah.
The second concept that I implemented and actually increased my average order value is what we discussed about upsells and downsells.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really good point also. And probably the psychological biases of what makes people buy, like what's going on inside a buyer's head when they make a decision whether or not to purchase the product from your store. So that I think that was the first day, right? The first day of the workshop.
We sometimes switch it up, so but it would probably
that was pretty good.
Got it. Okay, so let's just kind of go through these like one by one and just dive into them a little bit deeper. You said the first one was obviously creating offers, right? Creating inimitable offers around that product that you want to sell, for the simple fact that, and this is something that a lot of people ignore, right? A lot of beginners that I see just getting started, they kind of completely ignore it because they don't know any better. But, if you're trying to sell an item on your store, sometimes you got to realize that people have that Command T or Control T button, right? To open up a new window on their browser, go on Google, type the name of that product, and then it'll just self-populate like a bunch of different options that are most likely going to be cheaper than what you're selling it for, right?
Yep.
So the problem becomes, or the decision that you have to make at that point is, okay, well, do I just lower my price low enough so that I'm the lowest in the market, or do I try to dominate with value? Do I try to, kind of create something that will be of more value to, my prospective customer that they can't find anywhere else, right? And so that's where the term inimitable offers comes from, because inimitable means something that you can't find anywhere else. A lot of people use the term like irresistible offers, but sometimes you can find that irresistible offer somewhere else. So we'd like to use the term inimitable offers because then it just helps our students or our clients focus on the fact that it's not supposed to be found anywhere else. And so let's just give them an example of an inimitable offer, Nikita. So let's just say, right, let's think here. Okay, for example, I have this light stand here, right? So I can show it, right? So for example, when I went to the store, I got this selfie lighting ring right here, right? And right away, they tell me, hey, I'm like, does it come with a stand? And they say, no, it does not. But because right away, what was I thinking in my head, right? I literally told them this, just kind of like, because it was down the street, the store's down the street from my house, and I didn't want to wait for Amazon, right? So I'm like, you know what? The way that I would get higher return on my investment right now is as quickly as possible. Like, I want it now, right? I don't even want to wait for Amazon. So I went down to the store, and I'm like, I don't mind paying a little bit extra if I could just get it right now. And so right away, I was like, okay, how much is this light right here? They're like $100, right? And so I'm like, does it come with a stand? And they said, no, it does not. And so right away I tell them, man, well, I can literally on Amazon for $100, I can get the light and the stand and an iPhone holder like that attaches to the stand. And so the guy goes, hey, no problem. I'll actually take off, I think he said like $20 off the stand, and I'll include a free iPhone attachment to the actual tripod, to the stand of it, for absolutely free. And so right away I was like, you know what, I'm in. Like, that is definitely a high return on my investment. Although I'm paying a little bit more than what I would be paying in Amazon, I'm going to get it right away, and I'm going to walk out of here because that's what I value most. I value time, right? And so that's just an example of an inimitable offer that, I just kind of made an investment in like recently.
Right.
Could you think of one, maybe one that we created at the workshop? Did we get the chance to create any together?
Was it the Rose Bear, I think?
Oh yeah, the Rose Bear. Yeah, that's a good one. Do you remember what that offer was? I believe
Yeah, the offer was not just the Rose Bear, but the Rose Bear that comes with that golden rose, I believe, for free, and you get a free express shipping, and on top of that, will include an ebook on I don't remember exactly, but
significant other like love you even more, something like that.
Yeah.
Because there's two different ways, right? We covered there's actually a couple different ways that you can actually create an inimitable offer or an irresistible offer. It's not just by adding on physical items, right? Because if you add on physical items to that main product, like you're obviously increasing your cost of goods sold. But on the other side, there's also a way that you can include some digital products, right? So we covered how to get access to copyright-free, ebooks or audiobooks, and then we also covered how you can add specific services. Like, for example, if you buy some services online, they tend to add in, 24/7 customer support if you buy this higher package, right? And if you don't, then you get the basic hours for the customer service. So there's a couple different ways that for anybody that's watching right now that you can actually create these irresistible offers or inimitable offers. It's not just by adding in cost or physical products. You can also increase the value of your offer by including some digital products such as ebooks or audiobooks, as well as some services, right? So like a 30-day money-back guarantee is an extra, right? It's an extra service. Like, it definitely, some companies out there, some competitors of yours probably don't offer that at all. So they're just another way to give people a great reason as to why they should buy from you right now, rather than go on Google and keep researching and try to find a cheaper price. So that was the first one, right? How to dominate with value versus competing on price by creating inimitable offers.
It just actually reminded me of another point, risk reversal. That was another thing that we discussed, and that was another thing that helped me a lot. Risk reversal in your prospective buyer's mind, they always want to think, okay, what is the risk for what is the risk for me if I buy this product? Like, are they going to rip me off? Is there a money back guarantee? How long is the shipping? Is there warranty? Like, is there customer support? They always want to be 100% sure that they're safe buying from your website.
Yeah, and that's part of the psychological biases, right?
Yeah.
We could probably just touch on that now, pivot into that now. We especially like when you go from being a consumer your whole life, it's kind of hard to transition into being a producer or it's not as easy transitioning into a producer and having to learn like, hey, how does the average consumer make up their mind on a product or on an offer, right? So you really have to study that. And so what happened to me, like from the start of my career, just in entrepreneurship in general, is literally just like you, Nikita. Like, I first started off focusing on so much of the technicals, and I focused on the technicals for a bunch of different opportunities, like network marketing, a clothing brand, affiliate marketing, digital, trying to do like a digital marketing agency. And all I focused on was the technicals, like, so the funnels, the Facebook ads, the email sequences, and all these things. But I never focused on the bigger picture. And so that's like if you literally look at my library or my Amazon account, the type of books that I was buying literally went from like these entrepreneurship type of like success mindset and, law of attraction type of books to like, more of technicals type of deal. And then now it's all, psychology and understanding how the human brain works. And so one of those things that we covered, like you just said, was the risk reversal, which is huge, right? Because I believe the quote that Juan used or he had on his slide was that the average person is more focused is more focused on not making the wrong decision twice as much as making the right decision, right? So they're more focused, like the average person is so focused on not wasting their money and not getting scammed and not getting bamboozled twice as much as actually making a great purchase and buying that great product that could, help them solve the problem that they're looking to solve. And so you do that by specific ways, right? You just named a few, which was customer support, right? 30-day money.
30-day money back guarantee. Yeah. Like a 2-year warranty on your product if it's like a gadget or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, free express shipping may be one of those, customer doesn't want to wait like 2 weeks. So they always want to, get product ASAP.
Exactly. Perfect. I actually had, because I'm not sure if we had the printout at the New York one, but I believe it was the LA one. One of our attendees actually printed out a bunch of the psychological biases for all the attendees, and that was real nice of them. But I don't think we passed it out at the New York event. But for anybody that's watching right now, if you want to learn more about what we're talking about here, psychological biases and stuff like that, highly recommend you check out the 25 Cognitive Biases by Charlie Munger. And he's the business partner of Warren Buffett. I'll probably just slap a link below, or you could just Google it, whichever one. But it's definitely key. I guess the more important part of it is how you apply it to your e-commerce store. And that's really what we tend to cover and give specific examples of at these e-commerce workshops. So, and also our online programs. But let's cover the other thing. So the other thing that you mentioned was upsells and downsells, right?
Yes.
Now, most people who come into e-commerce, they're just focused on, I would say, one or two things. Either trying to promote as many products as possible, right? Like all in one store, right? They're just filling up their store with a bunch of random products. Or on the other hand, they're just focused on selling one product at a time over and over again, right? And never really focus on maximizing that lifetime customer value, because as we covered in the workshops, it's 10 times easier to sell an existing customer than it is to sell a brand new one. So can you kind of give us like the before and after of how that played a role in that month that you just had?
Well, yeah, one thing I realized, I was leaving money on the table, basically. I was like, okay, instead of just selling one specific product to X amount of customers, I can offer a product for a higher price, and then if they decline the offer after they purchase, like a post-purchase offer, I can offer something cheaper, just like an add-on to what they already purchased.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you're standing in line in like Walmart or Target or a supermarket, and you see all those like candy and like gum and stuff at the register.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to sell the customer that way, when they're already waiting in line, ready to spend the money and swipe the card. And, they're just like, okay, let me just grab this gum. And in the store's perspective, they increase the average order value just by adding the candy, by the register. So the same logic, you can implement the same idea into your e-commerce space. If the customer is already willing to purchase from your store, if he's already has his credit card out, you might as well just offer him something else that comes together with the initial product that you're offering that will make his purchase even better. And at the end of the day, bring even higher ROI money, investment on the money.
Yes, that will bring them a higher return on their investment. Correct, and a better solution to their problem. If that product was solving a solution, maybe it was connected to a passion. Maybe you can help them express their passion even more. So I do agree with you. I think there's two times that makes the most sense to upsell or cross-sell or downsell someone. It's either right before they're about to finalize their purchase. Like you said, they already have their credit card out. They were about to put it in. They're like, oh, why not just grab this extra piece of candy or this magazine or whatever it is, like how it is when you're checking out at a grocery store, right? You're just making these like instinct purchases that you didn't even consider, but they're just there. So like, why not?
Why
Right?
not? Yeah, why not?
What's an extra $2, $5, $10 really gonna do to my overall purchase? And so the other part, or the other time, the best time to upsell, downsell, and cross sell is post purchase, right? After somebody has already completed their purchase, you just say, hey, like new page pops up right before sending them to their receipt saying, hey, one-time offer, get it now, whether you're trying to sell them more of what they just bought or other items like it that can complement that original item. And so the importance of that, like you said, is really just being able to maximize the lifetime customer value. And I think that was one of the things in our journey, like Juan and I's journey, is realizing the difference between selling one thing to one customer over and over again and how quickly you can kind of hit that wall. And then we started looking back at all those products or all those sales and being like, imagine if we just sold one extra thing to 1 out of 3 people, like how much more money we could have grabbed from that table. And so then it becomes a game of not how many customers do we get, but how can we get our customers to buy again and again? And that's a whole different mentality than just like, how many customers can I get by selling one thing to them over and over again? And when you shift that focus over to maximizing lifetime customer value, I think a beautiful thing happens where you start to really focus on the customer, right? Like you're like, okay, like, you know, how can I get this order to them quicker so that way they can buy more, right? So that I can keep maximizing that lifetime customer value. And so that's a perfect point to kind of wrap this up here, this video here. I don't want to keep Nikita here for too long, although we've covered so much. But that really brings you to the point where you got to pivot from drop shipping to building your own brand, right? Because you mentioned that earlier, and I wanted to kind of end off with it, is it's perfect for somebody to start off with drop shipping for the reasons that you mentioned, which is pretty obvious, right? It's like no wholesaling products, right? So you don't have to wholesale products, especially for the fact that imagine if you had to wholesale a product just to test it out.
Yeah.
That's pretty dumb, right? Like that's pretty insane to have to do like, so it doesn't really make sense to get into e-commerce by branding your own products and wholesaling them. So dropshipping makes all the sense in that matter. Also, what you're really doing when you're dropshipping is just learning the do's and don'ts of e-commerce. And so the fact that you can learn the do's and don'ts without having to order products to your house or wholesale them is a beautiful thing, because sometimes even if you pick the right product and you wholesale it, then you learn the do's and don'ts of, like you said, of commerce, of what it really takes to get someone to buy. Then you just can't sell any of those products at all, right? And they have to go to waste, especially if that trend passes already. What else? What else can you mention about drop shipping, would you say, Nikita, that it's ideal for a beginner to start off in?
Yeah, like I said, but it shouldn't be like a final goal. It's good to test product. It's good to get your foot in the door, you know, like learn the basics of commerce and business. And because the thing about dropshipping, you have to deal with all aspects of the business. You have to build your store. You have to make sure your copy is right. You have to make sure your marketing is on point, your ads, everything is running good. You have to know the statistics, like the results of your ads, to know what's working, what's not working, what can I duplicate, what can I replicate, and what should I change, what should I focus on. Then once the whole system is running, you have to deal with the customers. You're going to get a bunch of emails asking questions, asking for your support. Then you have to like respond and learn how to maintain good relationship with your customers. So it's like literally all the components of the business in one structure, in one system. And I feel like people that succeed in drop shipping and then transition into e-commerce, those skills that they receive, even if the e-commerce is not their end goal in life, they can implement those skills and the knowledge that they learn during the e-commerce journey to then start other ventures and other businesses and just implement the same knowledge just to like, change it up a little bit. And,
Absolutely.
that's the knowledge is like the most valuable thing.
Absolutely. I think just the experience as well, and being able to get that experience without having to, without such a high risk, right? Of jumping into building your own brand. And like you just put it so perfect, it's like you don't even know how to deal with customers.
Yep.
So, imagine starting up a brand and you don't even know how to deal with customers. Like you can quickly tarnish that brand and it goes all to waste. Now nobody's buying from you. When it comes to marketing, like how to launch a simple marketing campaign. Like if you can't launch a simple marketing campaign, Facebook ads, Google ads for a dropshipping store or dropship product, then you're probably not going to have any success with, your marketing campaigns for your brand. And so for anybody that's looking to start off with dropshipping or looking to get into e-commerce and just want to, learn a proven dropshipping blueprint, I actually went ahead and opened up our dropshipping accelerator back up for a few days. If you're on my email list, you would have probably already known that, but you can go ahead and check out the link below to the dropshipping accelerator. It's like a 5-week program, so a lot more training than what we've been able to provide Nikita at the workshops. But it's something that it's an online program, weekly live calls, all the tools and resources that we pretty much shared with Nikita. You just don't get the hands-on action that Nikita got and the environment. I think it's like two separate worlds, really. Like online programs and in-person programs. I would recommend obviously people come to both or enroll in both. But if you're looking to just get into it right now today and get started today, check out the dropshipping accelerator below. Now, what happens once you actually get the hang of dropshipping and you get the hang of all the things that go into creating a successful dropshipping business on Shopify, is then you're able to prove products, right? So for example, like how many products did it take you to get those results last month, Nikita?
Well, I was kind of like focusing in one specific niche.
Yeah.
So I would say with the store that I have now, it was about 4 products.
Okay.
Then before that, I had 2 other stores in different niches, and they didn't really work out.
Okay. So would you say the 80-20 rule kind of apply to that revenue, meaning that 20% of those products in your store really brought in like the 80% of the revenue?
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely.
So would you say you have absolute confidence now that you proved those products to take them and then pivot into a micro brand?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially with all the data that I have on my Pixel now, with all the lookalikes and everything that I kind of gathered together, I'm pretty sure like it will take time. It's still a lot of work.
Yeah.
But at least I have that confidence now that, this thing will work. All I have to do is just implement what I already learned and just like move it up to the next level.
Exactly. And that's literally what it is. It's like morphing it into a brand. You're taking that product, because think about it. For anybody that's watching right now, if I told you, hey, I'm selling 100 pieces of this product every single day for the past 2 weeks, right? Would it make sense for me to go out there and brand it, right? Take an extra step, brand the product, maybe just brand the packaging, and create some branded marketing around that new product or that branded product, and be able to charge 3 to 7 times, higher for it, right? Because it's higher quality, it's quicker shipping, so therefore I can charge more for it. Would it make sense to, at that point, to wholesale something, or at the point where I'm telling you, hey, like this looks like it's a good product, it looks like it's a hot and trending product, I'm going to go ahead and brand it, right? It doesn't really make sense to do it like that. It makes sense to first test that product, see if it's scalable with the dropshipping method. And then once you get it up to a point like where Nikita got his products up to last month, then you can have absolute confidence, like literally absolute confidence that, hey, I'm selling 100 of these a day, and I'm just using a random number, not saying that he's selling 100 pieces of his product, but you have absolute confidence in transitioning into a brand, right? And the best part is that once you take that one or two products that are doing really well and you morph them into a brand, now any other products in that niche, you can automatically, add to your product line, like to your branded product line, which is exactly what we do. Now, this method here is for obviously more experienced e-compreneurs, people that have been through the dropshipping method. So I actually have an absolutely free case study on what we call micro-branding, the micro-branding method, which you can check out by clicking the link below as well. It's an absolutely free case study. There's no offer at the end of it. If you get value and if you want to work more closely with us, you have the chance to schedule a call with our accountability advisors or our strategy coaches to see how we can obviously work together, for the rest of 2019. But it's only for more experienced entrepreneurs. So if you don't have any experience in e-commerce, you've never ever sold anything with e-commerce, it is not for you. Like, you're gonna want to look at our dropshipping accelerator. Also comes with a free training, but there is an offer. Okay, you can just enroll in our 5-week program, 60 plus hours of our content, and really the most important part is the live coaching. Okay, so did we forget anything, Nikita? I think we covered it all, man.
We covered a lot.
Yeah, what would you say your goals are for the rest of 2019, man? Like, where's your head at now that you kind of see what it's like, and just kind of you've gotten the full grasp of of the drop shipping method there?
Yeah, well, like I said, my final goal, not final, but like the next step for me will be to have a full like an actual e-commerce brand, and it's coming back to that conversation about leaving a legacy behind you.
Yeah.
So just for anybody that's in the dropshipping space, just ask yourself, do you want to like always have a dropshipping store that's really worth nothing? Like it's bringing you sales, but the store itself is worth pretty much nothing.
Exactly.
You want to have a fully branded, e-commerce empire that you can like expand into something way bigger and something that will again leave legacy behind.
Yes.
So that's like the next step for me. I know it's a lot of work, but that's where I see myself within like the next 6 months to 1 year.
Yeah. Hopefully we can have another one of these calls in the next 6 months or a year or so, and we can then look at those results that you're getting with your brand. I think that I think the hardest part, man, is honestly just getting started. Personally, I mean, just getting started is the hardest part, and you've already gotten started in e-commerce, and it's just it's kind of like a basketball player going from college to the NBA, right? Like in college, it's fun, you're having a blast or whatever it is, but then when you get into the NBA, into the big leagues, there's no time for joking around. There's no time for kidding around. Like it's all in or nothing type of deal. And so I think that just by you stepping into that field, like by just getting your brand up and going, just by getting some samples in of your brand and product, taking some custom video ads instead of like the majority of drop shippers who just kind of, use AliExpress products or videos, which is, again, nothing wrong with that if you're just getting started, okay? Drop shipping is for the sake of cash flow. It's for the sake of experience. And that's not the end all by all means. Like Nikita just said, it's all about taking that cash flow, taking that experience, and pivoting into something that can leave a legacy that has an exit strategy at the end of it, right? Beyond just selling the unit one by one every single day. So I'm just a fan. I don't know about you, Nikita, but I'm just a fan of e-commerce in general. I think it's changing, lives of, people just like you and I, man, just average people who were following the average blueprint out there, right? Go to school, get a job, and then just realize that there is a better way out there. And it's not for everybody, obviously, right? It's not for everybody. Just like, cryptocurrency isn't for everybody, just like stock trading isn't for everybody. So, It's just a matter of finding what's right for you, but you'll never know until you actually, get started. So with that being said, Nikita, thank you so much for hopping on this call. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get value from it. Hey, where can people, get in touch with you, man? I'm sure a lot of people would have some questions for you. You don't have to feel, like I said earlier, you don't have to feel obligated to answer every single one of them.
Instagram, I would say easiest way.
Okay. What would you say what was your Instagram handle?
My first name, last name, Nikita Beresten, Nikitaberesten.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just put the link to it as well right below. And you guys can go ahead and hammer Nikita away with some good.
I'll be happy to help.
Perfect. Thank you so much, man. Any last thoughts that you want to share with everybody, or?
To anybody who's just starting, I would just say stick to the plan. Like, I've seen so many people that spend $80 on Facebook ads. Like they have all this. They put in all the work, like building the store, researching the product. They know they got the winner. Everything is good. Then they spend a little amount of money on ads. They expect like some extra, like super crazy, extraordinary results, like from the start. They don't see those results. They shut down the ads. They close the store. They're like, okay, dropshipping is a scam. E-commerce is dead. That's it.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people like that. Like what I recommend to anybody who's starting, just like stick to the plan. Have a plan. Find a product that you know for sure is a winning product. Implement the systems that people that already done it before you share. Just implement those systems, stick to the plan, and just believe in yourself. And over time, like improve every single day. Think of it like, what can I do better with my store, with my ads, with my ad copy today? How can I make it a little bit better, 1% better than it was yesterday? And if you just stick to that plan, eventually it has to be like, eventually you will eventually just hit the point where, you see some sort of success. And then from there, it's just like a snowball.
Beautiful, man. I think Grant talks about this. Grant Cardone talks about this a lot of times too. Is just like committing, committing all the way. I think we live in a generation where, just like you said, there's a lot of people that, and it's funny because I saw you go like this because it is frustrating. Like that's how I feel sometimes. Yeah, I'm just like, oh, people who text me all the time or message me saying, hey, I'm not getting any success. I'm failing. And I'm like, okay, send me a picture of your Facebook ads or your store. And it literally looks like the bare minimum effort. Like they probably tried one Facebook ad and they're talking about, I'm struggling, I'm failing. I'm like, dude, you didn't even get started yet. Even better, sometimes I ask them like, what blueprint are you operating off of? And they say, I don't have one. I'm just watching a bunch of free YouTube videos. And obviously, this is a free YouTube video right here, right? But it's a whole lot different when you're trying to look for a step-by-step blueprint on how to build, a house or a business or whatever it is. And so, it's like the same reaction that you would get if like, somebody is driving through New Jersey, they knock on your house, they're like, dude, I'm lost. Like, I don't know how to get to California from here. You're like, all right, what GPS are you using? They're like, oh, we don't have one. We're just kind of winging it, Probably not the best example, but
That's
it's
a good example.
it's like very, very similar, except I don't know why a lot of people just seem to think that, they don't need a blueprint when it comes to business. And quite honestly, it's the exact opposite. Like a blueprint is what shaves off years off your learning curve, right? It's like what your mom said about attending the e-com workshop. She said, it takes people years to learn these things. What are they going to teach you in 2 days? Well, what we're going to teach you in 2 days or in our dropshipping accelerator is what took us a few years to learn, or what took us a few years to realize was the right and wrong way of doing something. That's what you're getting at these type of programs. Again, whether it be from us or somebody else like Grant Cardone or Tony Robbins or Brian Tracy, that's how we need to think of, our education and the blueprints that we use and we utilize to build our businesses. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Nikita, was nice
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So now what we're going to do is we're going to dive into his store and his ads and see how he can take things to the next level. But make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel if you got value out of this, and also leave a comment with one major takeaway that you got from this little interview right here. And also be sure to check out the Dropshipping Accelerator while it's still open. And if you're already an experienced e-compreneur and wanna get some help on how to pivot into an actual brand, then check out the free case study right below here as well. Okay, peace out. Thank you so much.
Good.
Yes, sir.
How much time